When we hear Riviera, we think France or Italy, but you may not know about another Riviera that's popular for vacations, but you can also live there year-round and it is super cheap.
Riviera means seaside coastline with beautiful beaches and nice weather, and the affordable Riviera we're going to talk about in this video is in Southern Albania.
It's 75 miles of coastline that stretches from Vlore south to Sarande and Ksamil. We spent time in Vlore and Sarande, and they both have some things in common and several surprising differences.
After we give our rundown of each area, we're going to tell you which one is our favorite and which one we think might be best for you.
Sarande is an easy ferry ride from Corfu. The ferries are fast and affordable. We took the slow ferry, which took a little over an hour, but you could actually get an even faster one for 35 minutes. It cost us $45 for both tickets, so $22.50 each. It was very relaxing and the views are great.
The first thing we did when we arrived in Sarande was sit down and connect to Airlo and activate our eSIM, and Airlo is today's sponsor.
We've been talking about Airlo for a while because we've been using their eSIMs for years in over 10 different countries so far.
With an eSIM from Airlo, you can download and install a digital data pack from over 200 countries and regions, and you'll be connected anywhere in the world when you land in your new destinations.
We started using Airlo because we did not like relying on the free Wi-Fi, which is not always very reliable and it isn't always available. Plus, we got hit with some nasty roaming charges in the past.
Airlo makes everything super easy because it's a digital SIM. That means you don't have to swap out your physical SIM card in your phone. That also means you can keep your same phone number, so it's seamless.
We use the data coverage provided by the Airlo eSIM to access maps and search stuff when we're out exploring, and to send WhatsApp and Facebook messages to family and friends back home.
Just download the Airlo app to your smartphone, choose your eSIM plan, purchase it, and install it while you're connected to Wi-Fi.
Once you've arrived, you can turn it on and connect to the internet. So install Airlo today so you can stay connected wherever you travel.
Just scan this QR code right here or check below for a link and use our code ABROAD3 to get $3 off your first eSIM.
And now for some reasons you might really love Sarande, starting with that it is a smallish city. It is much smaller than we expected. It was surprisingly not very crowded during high season, but I did read that tourism was down because of the heat, and it was pretty darn hot there. Interesting to us is that most of the tourists were Europeans. There were not a lot of people from the United States and Canada, which I guess isn't that surprising because it is in Europe and it's a lot closer for the Europeans than it would be for us Americans.
There was a lot of direct flights from throughout Europe to get there. And we were also really surprised by how clean it is. There were always people out sweeping and cleaning up, picking up the trash. They had dumpsters all over, so it was pretty easy to throw away your trash.
What I really liked about Sarande, and what you may like too, is that it was super laid back and relaxing. It definitely has that small town beach vibe. It did not feel like a big metro city like Miami, because it's not. It is pretty small. There are a lot of affordable restaurants. We went out to eat at a hotel restaurant, which was located on the seafront with gorgeous views. So it was kind of fancy, and it was extremely affordable. We had pizza and fries, and it was $12.50.
We also found that the groceries were very affordable, like a bottle of mineral water was only $1. And there are lots of water activities in Sarande. We saw people doing boat tours, swimming, paddleboarding, kayaking, diving. Oh, scuba diving?
They're scuba diving.
Scuba diving.
Yes. We
saw lots of jet skis, and you could go take one of those cool pirate boat tours.
Yeah, it was neat to see those pirate ships go by with the Albanian flag blowing in the wind.
I know, I've been saying all along that the Albanian flag looks like a pirate flag, so it fits perfectly on those pirate ships.
And we mean that in a good way. We love the flag.
It's a cool flag.
The short-term housing was also a lot more affordable than we had expected. We stayed in a newer building on the opposite side of town, so away from the boardwalk, but still very close to everything. And our Airbnb, our little condo, was quiet and extremely comfortable. And I guess I shouldn't say it was little because it was actually pretty big. And it had a huge terrace with amazing views. We could even see all the way over to Corfu. And the price was only $70 a night. And during high season, we think that is very reasonable.
If you want to go there and buy property, that's an option too. We saw listings that start as low as $50,000 to buy a condo kind of in one of the older buildings, but you can spend around $100,000 to get a newer condo and all the way up to around $300,000 if you want one of those awesome penthouses with amazing views.
Of course, no place is perfect, so we're going to share some of the downsides, starting with there are some tourist prices, and we got price gouged when we landed from the ferry over from Corfu. We didn't ask how much it was going to cost to take a taxi to our hotel. We just jumped in a taxi, and we ended up way overpaying. We paid $20 for something that should have been a $5 taxi ride, so that was not a really good welcome to Sarande experience.
The beaches are also a little rocky, so you're not going to find like nice sand beaches in Sarande like you might expect. We've seen that a lot in the Mediterranean. Actually, a lot of the beaches are a little rocky.
There is also not a lot of restaurant variety. You're basically getting pizza, traditional Albanian food, and some surf and turf, which is fine if that's all you want to eat. But if you are like us and like a little bit more variety, or if you have special dietary needs, you may struggle to find some things there. We did find a small amount of gluten-free and other options, but not a lot.
Yeah, the grocery stores are pretty small. They were more like large convenience stores and not really like full grocery stores. There may have been a bigger grocery store outside of town and more of the outer area, but we didn't make it out there since we didn't have a car.
There's not a lot of shopping, so if you're looking for a big fancy mall, you're not going to find it there. Or if you want some specialty items, you're going to have to go outside of the Sarande area over to Vlore or even Tirana.
You can't drink the tap water there either. It is chlorinated, but we were told not to drink it, so we had to buy those bottled water.
And there were quite a few power outages while we were there. Luckily, they didn't last for very long, but it is something you want to prepare for.
Yeah, with all the heat wave and everyone running their air conditioners, I guess the grid just couldn't keep up with the demand.
An interesting little piece of information about Sarande is that it was voted one of the top 15 best places for a Christmas market in Europe in 2023, which of course I was not thinking Christmas market and beach in Sarande. So there you have it. You can go there summer or winter.
Yeah, since we were there in July, we didn't get those Christmas shots, unfortunately. I wish we would have seen that though.
I know, that would, well, next year maybe.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a laid back beach lifestyle, I definitely think Sarande is worth consideration for you.
Yeah, you can even have your own big fancy yacht if you want to, if that's part of your laid back plan.
All right, so now let's take a look at our time in Vlora, starting with it's about a 2.5 hour drive away from Sarande, and it's a lot bigger and more spread out than we expected it to be. It felt a bit like a mini Tirana, and it is the third largest city in Albania after Tirana and Durrës.
Vlora does have bigger and sandy beaches, so if you want more of a beach lifestyle but with a city amenity, then it is a really good option for you. Plus the water is super calm and shallow, so it is great for swimming and for little kids. So if you have kids or grandkids, they could go and play in the water there, and they should be pretty safe, hopefully. And it actually felt less crowded than Sarande to us because it is bigger and more spread out.
We found that the restaurants in Vlora were actually more affordable than in Sarande, which was a little surprising since the cities are not really that far apart.
What I liked about it is that it was flat and walkable. Sarande, parts of it are pretty hilly and the sidewalks are narrow, although they are working on that. But in Vlora, it was very easy to walk through main pedestrian areas. The sidewalks were quite a bit wider.
And flatter and smoother.
Yes.
Definitely. And it has a nice little old town area that they've renovated and fixed up. It looks really super nice and clean. And we saw a lot of old people, a lot of families, and a lot of people out in the evenings just walking around or hanging out in the parks and talking, kids playing in the fountains. It felt really homey and family friendly.
There is a new airport being built in that area. It is supposed to be opening of March in 2025, so we'll see if that happens. We didn't actually drive over to check it out because we don't have a car, but that is the schedule so far. And they are building more high-end resort-style accommodations as well, if that's something you are interested in.
We found the short-term housing to be quite a bit more expensive in Vlora compared to Sarande. We spent $87 per night for a place in Vlora that wasn't as big or as nice and didn't have nearly the view. And it was one of the more affordable places that we found, and there really weren't as many options there either.
However, if you want to rent an unfurnished rental in that area for longer term, you can find something for around $500 a month. So that is very affordable.
Real estate prices have increased about 25%, which is kind of high, but we found the prices to still be very affordable, especially when you're going to live right by the sea.
Yeah, and if you are shopping for a condo, Vlore is definitely a good place to look because there is a lot more variety of places there because it's just so much bigger.
And now for some of the downsides. And the first is those power outages. We had several while we were there, actually, usually a few times per day. It would go out for a couple minutes, up to maybe 10 minutes, and then come back on. And I was so paranoid when we were in the elevator that it was going to be right then that the power went out. And we always made sure we had water with us because it was so hot.
We did notice some sewer smells when we were walking around the city. So, we're not really a big fan of that. Plus, we also noticed that part of the sea appeared to be kind of polluted and it was kind of smelly too. It was kind of in the middle over by the port. So not really where all the swimming area was, but something to keep in mind.
So if you want more amenities and better access to healthcare, then Vlore is probably a great spot for you. And also if you have mobility issues, then Vlore is a better choice than Sarande.
Now we're going to talk about a few traits that they have in common, starting with the public transportation. There is public transportation in the form of buses, and there are plenty of taxis that are available in both areas, and they will take you all over the country. But they don't have a train system, so that is a bit of a bummer.
There are expat communities in both areas, but Sarande is definitely more popular. There are a lot more expats that live there.
Yes, and what we've heard too from other people is that a lot of the people that come through are actually digital nomads, so they are transient, so they stay for a couple of months and then they move on. But we also know people who live there full time, but you may just have to work a little bit harder to connect to that community.
Yeah, we found that both cities were very safe. We walked around at night. There were kids out playing after dark. Well, because it was so hot during the day, everybody was out at night when it was much cooler, and we felt totally safe walking around.
Yeah, I have never felt unsafe in Albania, anywhere in the country. And now for the big reveal, which one did we like the best? Well, for us, it is Sarande.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite of the two. We like the size of the town and the convenience, and everything was so conveniently located. It wasn't so spread out. There's lots of areas to explore around there too. That you can take day trips to Ksamil, which is a really beautiful beach resort area that's south of Sarande. You can go to the Blue Eye and Girocoaster. Unfortunately, it was too hot for us to go see any of those while we were there. We were so disappointed. We had planned on going to see all of those and filming them, but it was just too hot during the day.
Yeah, but now, JP, we can go back in the wintertime so we can check out the Christmas market, and the weather will be much better to go to all those places. I really liked how close it was to Corfu, so that you could easily hop on a ferry and get over to the international airport over in Corfu in Greece. And there are direct flights into a lot of different locations. So you don't have to go all the way over to Tirana to fly out.
Yeah, and the Airbnbs are also quite a bit cheaper in Sarande. And since we like to budget travel as much as possible, that was appealing to us.
Yeah, and I really did like the laid-back vibe there. I liked Vlore. I liked the little old town. So I think it would be fun to hang out there for a week. But I would not want to stay there full time.
We've been talking about how hot it was. It was between 95 and 100 degrees the entire time we were on the Albanian Riviera. And when it's 100 degrees, it's just too hot to go outside during the day and do anything, unfortunately, which is why a lot of people leave during the summer in Albania and they go to other countries that are cooler. And so the Albanians pretty much flee. A lot of our friends that we made earlier this year when we spent 3 months in Albania, they were gone. Everybody was gone. So we were pretty much there by ourselves.
Yeah, we should have listened to them when they said, oh, you don't want to come here in the summer. It's too hot. Well, they were not kidding. And now we know. So don't do what we did. We heard from our friend Warren, who is living in Sarande, that he and a group of other expats went over to Bansko. Did I say that right?
Bansko, Bulgaria.
Because it's so much cooler. It's actually a ski town, but it would be perfect weather in the summertime. He told me he even had to put a jacket on, and I was jealous. Even though it was crazy hot while we were there in July and August, this is still a great year-round destination. We spent the winter in Tirana, and it was cold for a couple days, but not brutally Chicago winter type of cold, and it never snowed, so I still like it.
Yeah, me too. I actually preferred it in the winter. All right, guys, before you go, remember to download that Airolo app and get it installed right now. You can just click the link below in the description or the pinned comment and use our code ABROAD3 to get $3 off your first eSIM.
That is all we have for now. We will see you all next time.
Miru Popshim!
Popshim!